What is going on, peeps? Welcome to the new season of Real Talks. We're going to skip the intro for this one, but we'll have one for the next episode. I'm being joined right now by
Winnie
and
Dr. Cloud.
and in this series, we're going to talk about real discussions. Now, the thing that's distinctive about this panel that you have in front of you is we are all first generation Canadians. Our parents were born abroad. So we grew up with a different culture than a lot of Canadians did. But we, I guess you could say, adapted. But what we're going to talk about is the differences in thinking from the previous generations to us and things that stuck out to us, whether positive or negative. Yeah, I'm going to put this out there right from the beginning. I've had a strong opinion on this many times in the past. You guys saw on the old channel, you've seen it on Facebook or wherever. I feel now at this point, I've gotten to the point where I'm more understanding. I understand that our predecessors, our parents, came here to give us a life. They worked hard and they went through a lot to provide for us. Their way of thinking was different. That's because they're from a different place than us. They just kind of figured their way of thinking may have given us a heads up. Maybe a combination. There's something that we can use in future generations, essentially. But let's start this up now. You guys know from where we're from. We'll get into that later. Winnie, where is your country of origin?
My parents are from China.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you born there or were you born here?
I was born here in Toronto.
How long were your parents in Toronto before you were born?
I'm assuming, I don't know about my dad, but I would assume he was here in the 60s.
In the 60s?
It could be earlier.
Okay, so he had like about 20 years in Canada, essentially.
Something like that.
And the same with your mom?
Maybe early 70s. Like not long before she had my sister, my older sister.
Okay. So, what would you describe your life growing up? Would you say that you grew up Canadianized or is true to your culture in your parents' upbringing style?
I felt more Canadianized.
Yeah?
Yeah, westernized here.
I'm guessing because, as you said, your dad was here for like 20 years, so he was more adapted to the Canadian life, and your mom for an extended period of time, right?
Yeah, they know, they both speak English, maybe not as perfect, but they know it.
Okay.
They just wanted a new life here.
Okay.
But, yeah.
What would you find, like, growing up? What would be different from you from the other kids? Was there anything that there was different that you would notice? In, like, the way that you were brought up, or just, like, maybe lunches or stuff like that?
Lunch, yeah, I would have my native food, like Chinese food.
Okay.
Right? And then, I went to a daycare in elementary, so it's in there, so we would have, like, white food. I guess you could call it white food.
Canadian
food, sorry. Not to sound racist, y'all.
Okay, so, now here's what we're talking about. It's just like, in your life, where have you seen, like, their ways conflicting with what you believe now? Like, where has there been clashes in it? Speaking in growing up, you feel like you're Canadianized, you're up there. But where would their thinking is be like, okay, no, that's different. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good question.
Is there a moment you can pinpoint, or just an era in your life you can feel it became prominent?
Really, no. I didn't really have a proper structure. I was free for all. I can do whatever.
Okay.
Actually, I was coddled.
Yeah.
Maybe that I could give you an example. I was coddled. I was the youngest.
That's a regular
right?
thing. That happens, yeah.
Because when you have a firstborn, right, you don't know, you're not experienced, you don't know anything. Until you have the next child, you're like, oh, I want to do something different, raise them differently than the first child.
That's one key thing I noticed, especially with first generation families, is it's like usually the youngest is coddled, kind of babied. It's normalized in other countries where, you know, the youngest are going to stay there. Maybe the the youngest you or whatever, and they kind of just take care of the parents when they're older, and that's their life. That's kind of the way things were, but in our modern society, that kind of just leaves you when your parents go, what do you do?
Yeah.
Where is your life type of thing? Now, for you, what would you say is the biggest difference in thinking between you and your parents as far as perspective in life? Or would you say you guys are on the same wavelength?
There's some who have the same mindset, and there's others that's like, that generation's over, like we're here today. And a lot have changed.
It's just more or less leaving that old type of thinking.
Yeah, evolving. The world is always evolving.
Where would you say that started, where it's like, okay, no, Mom, that's not the way the world is anymore?
I don't know, independence? I guess.
No, I mean, like, what age would you say that, where?
I guess in like 20s, maybe?
Early or late?
Maybe early?
Early?
Yeah.
And was it something that you guys ever were able to resolve? No?
Nothing is ever resolved in my family.
Okay.
It just is always repeated.
Okay. Now,
No. Like, I don't have to, like, go to school. I wasn't taught, like, the Chinese generation where you have to go to school, get good grades,
okay, so
you know, study hard.
You didn't have a tiger mom.
No, I didn't have that old tradition.
So you're kind of just like, you grew up to kind of,
Yeah.
just go to school, learn what you do your thing, enjoy your life.
Yeah.
So it wasn't based in tradition.
No, I wish there was.
Yeah?
You know, play an instrument, you know.
Do you feel it's something that you missed out on?
Yeah, kind of. I wish I had the guidance, like, to be more motivated in, like, school. I did not like school. Like, so my dad always helped me with my homework. But when my parents split and then eventually passed away, like, I had to be on my own. Like, and my mom wasn't really there, my sister or grandma, like, it just left me to my own devices.
Just to figure it out on your own.
Yeah, if you have homework, you're supposed to be responsible to do it. Like, I'm not going to be there for you to sit there. Or if you have trouble, like, there's other people that should be helping you, like the teacher.
That's a key thing. A lot of, like, first generation Canadians, and it's like, that's one of the things where I understand the past now as I'm older, because in their time, they were kind of just like, well, figure it out. There was no one holding their hand where they came from.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what they knew. And as assimilated as anyone can to North American culture, if half your life's been somewhere else, you're gonna still have some aspects of what you grew up in. And that's one thing, if all your siblings or your parents is like, figure it out, you're gonna be like, when you have your own kids, figure it out.
Yeah.
A lot of first generations kind of have that, I wish I had more help. I wish I had someone who knew things a bit better, can give me guidance and help me.
Yeah.
That's one big thing.
Right.
We'll come back to that in a moment. Dr. Clone, as you guys know, we are first generation Canadians from a Trinidadian family. I was the first of my family born in Canada, as well as my brother. What would you feel would be the biggest disagreements in cultural things that have stood out for you?
Well, if we're going by that logic, first I'll start with school. Now, we all now know that we're older. Here in the West, the majority of most teachers generally don't care about you and tend to tell your parents lies. Usually a proper, smarter parent would realize that said teacher is talking shit and your kid is actually well behaved. Regrettably, my parent did not. Jeffrey believed everything said teacher said. That's why at some point I was forced to go on that thing known as Ritalin, that pill, for my supposed behavioral issues. Even though I never
We don't need to go into that much into details. Just speak of what the points are. You don't need to go into details.
That's the point in the story.
I know, but you're saying just talk about what the issue is.
No, as I just said.
It was just they would believe the teachers. Is there anything else other than them just always believing what the teachers said?
some reason, just like how Winnie said, about the homework, I was expecting to figure out on my own. Because when I try to ask for help, it's either they told me to do it on my own,
No, that's other thing. You're kind of left to your own devices.
or the hilarious part is they themselves couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, that actually I did deal with. Okay, is there one more point that stood out for you as far as the different approach of thinking?
Oh, I just want to add. So since we didn't have help with our homework at home, but in school we did. We had like special class.
Yeah, that's true.
But
The
still,
resource
like
class.
our parents think, okay, since we don't know, we'll just get them in school to help you.
Yeah.
Because that's their job.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right?
Also, if you recall, our parents, mostly Jeffrey, never gave us the very important talks of the way of life.
Same.
Like, the thing about the bees and the flowers,
And birds and the bees.
whatever the fuck it is. You see, I don't even know because Jeffrey never told me.
The terminology.
And to make matters worse, it's not like I went to any sex ed classes or anything. I had to found out on the internet. That's how I found out. The other thing is, Jeffrey also never explained to me how I should properly behave in school.
We'll get to that. Now, peeps, you see from different parts of the world, there's their origins. But Winnie, you can relate to some of the things that he talked about.
Yeah.
So you can relate to some of the things that Winnie talked about.
See, this is why our kindred spirits.
But the simple fact of the matter is, that's where you look at it at a point where it's just that generation, and anyone going to a new country, they're just gonna know, first off, they're gonna do what they know. They're not going to go out of their way. Most people don't want to ruffle any feathers. They're just trying to assimilate. But at the same time, assimilating to that culture, stay true to themselves. Now, one thing I will point out that my brother did, we very much stayed true to our Trinidadian culture. Like, I could tell you growing up, for me, the things that stood out to me that made me different from other cultures, like every weekend, my mom would be playing calypso music, and we would all be cleaning the house. We would all have different chores and stuff. It was kind of a structure, like me and Dr. Clone would wake up early, have our cereal, and then watch cartoons until everyone else woke up. But then just like my dad would come down, he'll make a bunch of bacon and eggs and blah, blah, blah. We all eat, then we all had something to do in the house. We all went and cleaned. And then it's like we all tried to be done by 3 or 4 o'clock. That's when they would start cooking. They would probably start cooking dinner by 2 o'clock or whatever. Then you did your own thing. You had your own thing. It was kind of just that was my weekend dynamic.
Yeah.
And then during the week, to me, I was in the school world, was my parents, because of their upbringing, they would see teachers as like prestigious figure. So whatever the teacher said goes, you have to go. And the simple fact of the matter, I was like kind of a Bart Simpson in elementary. Anyone who went to elementary school was just laughing when I said that right now. I got in trouble a lot. But the simple fact of the matter is, with my brother was kind of a lieutenant. Whatever my teacher would say, sometimes some teachers would embellish things, but there were a lot of good teachers and principals. Like I know, will point out, I did have a great principal, Mr. Carroll, who...
That wasn't his name. His name was Zordon.
Zordon. Yeah, but he went out of his way to try to help me nurture my entertainment side of myself. And what comes out now. I don't know whether he's ever seen any of my videos, but I do hope that he did, because he was a big influence. But other things is just like our diet, like we would have very much Trinidadian, Caribbean inspired dishes a lot of time. Like we may have burgers, but it would be kind of like we'll season the burgers the way we'll do that, or like chicken and rice, simple dish, but it would be Caribbean inspired. So very much in touch with my culture. When it was a time of year, certain celebrations, we would celebrate that. The Diwali, Carnival, Independence, Trinidadian Independence Day, we'd always celebrate. Our Christmases would be Trinidadian style. And I'm very much appreciative of that. Because not a lot of people have that. You mentioned how you didn't have that. You didn't enjoy your culture.
Right.
That's kind of one of the things where I kind of feel we're just like, we're kind of one of those lucky ones where we got exposed to our culture. Maybe we didn't get to be around our family or our cousins, but our parents did try to teach us that and show us that. Whether we took it in, like, I won't lie, we were completely Canadianized. They would be making curry and we'd want craft dinner. We'd be eating that craft dinner like it was fucking gourmet. It was, oh yeah, this is some good food. But
well, I want to correct mine since you're talking about culture. We did a little bit like Chinese New Year.
See, yeah, that's one key thing. It's
but
like,
it's small. It's not really huge.
But it is still a part of your culture, an authentic part where your parents kind of shared that part of their lineage.
Yeah, celebrate it, but didn't tell us the history, the origin, or anything.
That's the kind of the last part. I kind of feel. We'll get to that later.
Sorry.
No, don't worry. We'll come into everything. Now, let's talk about what would be like your best memories. Some of the things that your parents will share with you, with their ways, whether it be like the Canadianized stuff they did or the cultural stuff.
Or family oriented.
Yeah, any family thing. What would be?
Even though it wasn't perfect, like people didn't, like people clashed or, vibe. But we're family oriented.
So you guys are just okay. So
if there's food, like we bring family together, like yours.
It was very communal with the meal. Everyone sit together and eat. Okay.
Right, and hanging out with cousins.
Okay, getting them.
Growing up with them.
That's always good.
Like not all of them, just a few.
Yeah, no,
right?
that's the thing.
Because there's a big age gap.
Yeah.
We lived all over the place.
That's true. That's true. I find with us, we didn't have any cousins our age here. It was just like all our cousins were like our older siblings' age, and all our other cousins are now our nieces and nephews' age.
Oh.
So we're kind of like, our god siblings are kind of like our cousins.
Right.
Like I have a god brother who's like, we call each other cousins.
Oh.
Because he's been like my cousin.
Right.
Okay? Stuart, for you, Dr. Cologne, what would be some of the cultural things that mom and dad would bestow upon us that you actually enjoyed, that stuck out to you?
Well, like Winnie said, mostly food. Because if not for our culture, I would never discover things. Eddie's, Lori, roti, and that one sugary treat candy would get on the. That's it, Truma. It's kind of hard to describe what it is.
It looks like fries, but it's sweet.
And it's
really
essentially ton with sugar.
Okay.
There was also this other treat too. It was pink. It was pink coconut flavor.
No, pastry. It's Caribbean pastry. Coconut flavored pastry.
Then another one. I'm not sure if you had this one. Winnie, banana bread.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good. Especially when my mom makes it. I have yet to have any banana bread as good as my mom's.
Yeah, speaking of homemade, my mom, when she was young, like our age, or 30, in her 30s, she would bake and bake pizza, bake cookies.
Okay.
Yeah, pound cake all the time. It was so great.
That's awesome.
I remember like when she made those almond cookies, so she reused the tin.
Yeah.
And then it would fill up every day. I'd come home from school.
Oh.
Or from daycare, daycare, and then I would eat in front of the TV. Like sometimes I won't have dinner.
Yeah.
I'll just have a little glass of like a cup of milk and then a tin of.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same
classic.
thing.
Yeah, that was the best. And then pizza, she would like make it, and then we had a chest freezer in the basement, and she would like do that.
Oh wow.
Oh, that was the best.
Oh man, I remember when mom started making the homemade pizzas. Oh my god. We stopped having delivery for a while.
Wow.
Yeah. Because not only did it taste better, it was way bigger.
Yeah, and then more toppings.
Oh,
Yeah.
The only issue was trying to cut the damn thing
Yeah, 'cause it was
because
so
we
big.
didn't have a proper, pizza cutter yet at the time.
Okay.
I actually, for Mother's Day, got her a proper.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But before that, we had to take the big ass butcher knife and try to cut that
Yeah.
shit. And that took fucking ever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like cardboard. Trying to cook cardboard.
I'll definitely say I 100% agree with you guys. Where for me, the food, just like sharing out those moments, eating delicious food, being a kid, and just like my mom used to make it so special for us. Like I remember on my birthday, she got the one birthday she got me all these Ninja Turtle pies. Do you remember those Ninja Turtle pies you can get and stuff? I guess I was a boy, so I probably remember it more.
Yeah, you gotta keep in mind, Winnie is a sweet, delicate flower. She wouldn't get boy stuff.
I remember those vanilla pies. She got a bunch of them. She made me egg salad for my breakfast. And like
Yeah,
sometimes,
that's the reason why you keep making the disgusting egg salad crap. It smells like ass. I tell you every damn time to stop making it.
he does not like egg salad. I make it to this day because that's one of the things my mom used to make for me. I remember sometimes. Remember she would make the soft-boiled eggs. She had the fancy little set for us.
Oh yes,
Would
we're
be
talking
little-
years ago. We were like little kids.
Yeah,
Sadly,
and the little
like
tiny
the really
spoon.
old things we used to have, it's all gone.
Yeah, no, there's one set still somewhere, but we just don't use it.
Oh right, you mean the big? What was that?
Yeah, the buffet.
The buffet, yes, in the living room.
But yeah, it was just like my mom. Like one thing I always loved was like my mom loved holidays. Like she made every holiday special. Halloween, Christmas, like anyone who knows me knows my affliction for all the holidays, Christmas, Halloween. It's just like, it's just because my mom made it special. That's why as a grown man, I still wear costumes. When I'm handing out candy, I'll be dressed up as whatever character costume I have.
Never forget Easter. Before, Mom used to be going to hide the eggs.
Yeah,
Now it's my job to have to hide the eggs.
and the thing is, my mom used to wear a costume when she used to hand out the candy. So that's why it's a tradition I still maintain till now. And yeah, literally every holiday she made it special. You know, there was that part where it's just like, she'd wake us up early and she'd get down there and clean up, blah, blah, blah. That was all. But hey, that's kind of why we know when you're doing anything, you clean up and maintain the cleanliness. Because it's next to government.
Yeah, so that's how she would always word it to us.
Now, if you were able to go back in time, Winnie, and have a conversation with your parents and tell them something about you and raising you, what would it be?
To have better structure, like more open conversation, whether they're a little bit difficult, challenging, or just have like a healthy conversation. Let's say at the dinner table, we never sat. I don't remember ever sitting together at the dinner table because my mom did a different shift than my dad, and my dad did a different shift than my mom, right? And I wish my both parents, like my dad's side, I wish they got along with my mom. Right? I'm getting a little bit dark here. It's just my mom's telling me these things like, oh, before I married your dad, like your dad's like mom and sister did not like me at all, right? Like they were there. What are you gonna give to my son, which is my dad? Like, are you gonna provide for him, like give him money?
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Just like very had this envious aura of them. Because my mom was trying to advance herself. She knew to come here to advance herself, like learn English, eventually get a better job, be more open culture, like open to the culture here, to the lifestyle.
That's true. That's true.
Right? So, because she was, I think, born in China, she learned Cantonese in Hong Kong, and then eventually migrated to Brazil for a bit.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how long, but and then it was funny. So my grandpa had they change identities with the younger man, because back in the day coming here, I think there was an age limit. I'm not sure.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I think.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
We didn't think it would be this multicultural and
Yeah.
this diverse right back then. And I think because there's, well, I shouldn't say, I don't know if I will, anyhow, so they just, I already said that they changed identity, like they switched it before, and then eventually, so my grandpa came, then my grandma, and then my mom and uncle came. My aunt stayed behind, didn't want to come here for a better life.
Yeah.
More open.
Does she ever visit?
She has.
Oh,
She has
okay.
visits, very long. But it's just more more opportunities.
Yeah.
That's what my mom wanted.
Well, that's the thing with my parents. I think they came up here for the opportunities and a better quality of life.
Yeah.
And I think just like North America was way more developed than a lot of other countries. And like, it's one thing I look at now. When I was younger, I was jealous of my cousins in Trinidad because they have the beach right there. They have a nice life, no winter, all this thing. They have all the family there, not just like a few of them, all of them there. But now I look at it just like the way life is in Trinidad. Would I be who I am right now? I am proud and happy to be who I am. I probably would still be an entertainer of some sort. But would I be a role model that I am right now? I don't know. Maybe in a degree.
Yeah.
But it's just like in that culture there, would I still be a feminist? I'm 100% a card-carrying feminist. I believe in equality for everyone. But I believe that's because I grew up in Canada. And that's
No,
the
you'll
way.
definitely not be, especially in an island like Trinidad, the way how their mindset is on that sort of topic.
That's the thing I look at. It's just like now I'm grateful I grew up. I'm pretty sure I do have cousins or family that are there. But I feel the cultured person that I've become because I was growing up and exposed to so many cultures. When you went to school, you met people of everywhere, right?
Yeah.
And I feel that's one thing that I would not have enjoyed growing up there. And I'll always be grateful to my parents for giving me that. Because maybe it would have been cool growing up around a bunch of other Trinidadians. Yeah, it would have been awesome. But then I wouldn't know as much as I do about other cultures. It's just like, my favorite food is like Asian and Mexican food. I would not know as much as I do about that food if I did not grow up here, right?
Yeah.
And then so many other things, and like burgers are one of my favorite foods. That's not that popular in Trinidad.
Oh.
I'd probably like bacon shark. I've been coming up here wanting to go fishing for shark to make myself bacon shark, But I'm grateful because of who I got to become.
Yeah.
That's the same question to you. What's the question I have?
I'm thinking about it too.
You said...
Okay, if there's anything that you could say to a younger mom and dad about how they were raising you, what would it be?
That's simple. Whenever I had an issue in school, don't waste time telling Jeffrey, tell my mom. That is it.
No, it's you now talking to mom and dad.
Well, yes.
So
Make sure to tell my mom, pay closer attention to me, and whenever I come back from school, so I'm not happy or sad. Because Jeffrey not listened to anything that I said. Also, at some point, you hit Jeffrey with a frying pan, because he deserves it.
Wow.
No.
Okay.
That was a little dark right there.
For me, push me to pursue my passion, not get a job. That's all I would tell them. Push me to pursue my passions and not get a job, because I wasted 20 years in an industry that got me nowhere. And in the last 10 years, not only in the working world, raised myself to where I'm like literally getting hit hunted. I have like 7 very nice job offers from companies reaching out to me because of my sales reputation. And when I do sales, I did general labor for years, and they don't appreciate it. You work harder than anyone else. No one's great job. Maybe occasionally when you start, but once you're there for years, it's just like you're just another hand. It's just your job.
Right.
When you're in sales, like when you go into general labor, and I'm the person every time I go in, I give my all. That wasn't appreciated. But in the sales world, I go in and I give my all. That means I am becoming number one in sales. Then I have like my manager saying, "You're the best," blah blah blah. Then you have those random moments. I remember in a collection agency, like the owner of the agency coming to me and saying, "You're doing great. You're getting great numbers." Well, and I remember being very humble. Like, I was just beginning. He's like, "No, you have something special, kid. You remind me of me when I started here." And I was just like, having that moment with the owner of a company right when I just started getting in the offices after doing general labor my entire life is why I've never gone back to general labor.
Yeah.
Because it's like you get appreciated. And I'll be like, push me to what I wanted, not for what you did. I know that worked for you, but growing up here, I need appreciation. I just don't need to get the job done. I need that. You did a good job. Because I'm not just gonna fold it in. Some people can just go into work and do the bare basics, get through their day and not care. If you're paying me to do something, my goal is to do it better than everyone else. And that's why I need to sort of pursue my passion journey. But that's not the way previous generations think, and I understand it. They had to do what they had to do to survive. There's somewhere that they don't understand. They left their world behind, a whole other part of the world, and they just did what they know how to survive. That's why there's like, just get any job, stick to it, try to grow in that company. You show respect to that company, prioritize. You forget about you put it in. I see value in myself.
Yeah.
And I wish I thought about like this in my 20s. I probably would have had a funner 20s. But I'm glad that I do now. And I know there's people who are much older than me that I've encountered and been at my age that never got to this way of thinking. And I'm grateful that I did. And I technically would have never got here if I didn't have my parents. So I'll always be appreciative. But what I would say to them is, I would try to get them to help me get here early. Ultimately, I would have never got here if I didn't have the parents I have.
Yeah.
I have friends, I have family who their parents are literally the siblings of my parents or the best friends of my parents, but they didn't get here. Some of them are older than me, they're not here yet. I'm grateful I am, but I would really have liked if I got here. But you know what, you take what you got, and we're doing this video and a bunch of people are gonna watch it.
Yeah, just be grateful, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel this is long and we gotta do something where Dr. Close is gonna be the host in a moment. So, final thoughts. Your last, anything you want to put in, do you feel you have to say to the camera or about this? Any bookend you want to put there?
I don't know, sky's the limit, right? Know your self-worth, even if your family's not the greatest upbringing or dynamic that you wish you had. I don't know, always work hard, be kind, be grateful, and that's it.
Dr. Clone?
Inform the old people that their wait is done. This is a modern age. Please learn how to use a bloody phone. I'm not the IT guy. I don't sugarcoat things. And Mother needs to hit Jeffrey for frying pan, because he deserves it.
You know what? I'll end it with this. A deep appreciation for the past and the future. I kind of feel, in comparison to a lot of this younger generation, I'm way more capable. I am someone who could be in a plane crash, wash up on an island, and I will survive. I could be in a scenario where I end up in any random country and I will survive. Because there's certain skills, certain characteristics, and a certain thing about myself that I have because of who my parents were. and the family I came from. And I will always be appreciative of that. Because we look at this generation dependent on technology, dependent on tutorial videos, dependent on someone else to teach them how to do basic things and how to think basically. But we are technically one of those last generations where we didn't have that. And we could have just been like one of those people from our generation who are idiots who didn't know how to do anything at all. Like, come on. Paris Hilton is versus she didn't know how to use a fucking toaster on a TV show. But we have a certain ability to survive no matter what happens to this world. So I sit here comfortably knowing if there's an apocalypse or whatever, I'm going to be one of those people who's going to be dominating the future. I'm going to be surviving. I'm going to be thriving.
So you're essentially saying there's going to be like two kingdoms, yours and mine. You realize I'm going to have mines on top of the hill.
Yeah, I'll have mines everywhere else, even underwater and in space and in the sky.
Wow.
Do you know how much effort that would be to be underwater?
What? Yeah, that's why I have to.
Besides, neither one of us could swim.
That's why I need to take over underwater. So there's people to help me if I fall in the water. If I ever fall into the ocean, there'll be people. Hey, there's the king. Let's go get him.
If you have your house on a hill, it could erode. It might, like, mudslide. It could
Yeah.
mudslide.
Ah, crap.
It
Shit,
depends
yeah, I
where you
forgot.
are.
I forgot about mudslides. That is a
Yeah.
danger, yeah.
And the erosion, right? Like, things always change.
That's true.
Mother Nature, man.
Okay, guys, we're gonna take a. No, actually, let's do some outros. Where can we follow you online, Winnie?
Win35 on Instagram and Wincorn on Facebook and YouTube.
This is Dr. Clone. You can follow me on YouTube at StuCorp San Maru.
And peeps, always.
I do technically have other social medias, but those are not connected to my YouTube. So this is why I never say that.
His are more personal. First off, guys, the love you've been giving me on Snapchat have brought me to a tier. I was at 400 followers on Snapchat. I'm like at 1,700 right now. I was at 400 followers last week.
Oh,
I'm at 1,700 right now.
amazing.
What, you want a cookie for that?
No, well, the thing is, I've never shared a link to any of my snaps. I've never did any I never did anything.
Okay.
They just legitimately like my drunken rants and the things I share to Instagram, those video meme things.
Yeah.
I copy and paste them there too. You guys are awesome.
I told
Thank you so
This is
much.
why you're the machine.
TBX420 on Snapchat. I'm gonna be monetized on Snapchat. I didn't even know it was a thing until yesterday. You guys are awesome, and I love you. YouTube fam, obviously, I love you the most. You were the first one. Everything else, Urban Franchise Entertainment, _King Unk on Instagram, PSN TBX420. Stay good, peeps, and keep it
Blitz.
blitz.